96 hours. That's how long it took the United States government to establish full command and control over the Haiti situation. It's as much money as we've invested over the years. It still took us 4 days to get things going. And when you extend it out to including the NGOs, fire, and our other civilian partners, weeks, and sometimes it never happened at all. So what I just saw here in the past hour about building this cloud and then how we plug people into it and give them the access, I see it as a huge force multiplier and really is the way to go and solve, this problem of all of us working together. We have the part of the U.S. government working together well. I can tell you that. I also was the wing commander during Katrina. And that was, it was not our best day from U.S. government's response. It was all a complete pickup game. We know that. And the good thing is we made huge improvements over the 5 years. So when Haiti came, the U.S. government piece did work very well. But it's that now it's the international community. And with Haiti, we had overwhelming response to this crisis. And as you know, Haiti, we had one airport to work with. And prior to the earthquake, it was handling 15 flights a day, and there was just one runway, not even a taxiway. So the plane comes in and has to go out on that same runway, and taxiing it, parking it, was a real issue. Fortunately, the Haitian government turned to the United States very quickly and said, you got to help us, you got to take control of the airfield and the airspace, because people were just starting to show up. And we had several near mid-air collisions as a result there in the first 24 hours, 36 hours. And once the United States government had control of it, we, in 3 days, had 200 flights a day coming in. So it was really impressive what we did. But having said all that, there with those flights coming in, there in the first few hours, Lieutenant General Keene, who happened to be the Southcom vice commander, was there in Haiti when it occurred. So he initially, he took command. And Air Mobility Command calling him up and saying, sir, what do you need? And he goes, I don't have time to tell you what I need. You just start sending stuff, and I'll tell you when to stop. And that's exactly what we did. We used our judgment based on past, Katrina, the water, the food, the generators, all those key things. The good news is you say about the communications, and as you look at these scenarios we're going to talk about, we've really made great progress in establishing access to cell phones and the internet very quickly. We used the Navy ships to help us provide that. But I also just came off a tour, thanks to my colleagues at my company at Synjex, who allowed me to go away for a couple of months and be the Deputy Commanding General for the Mali operation in Africa. I just got back a few weeks ago. But what I dealt with there, I was training West African forces to move into the UN mission, which started 1 July in Mali. And there was a tremendous amount of coordination having to go on. But everybody had that basic access to, the cell phones and to the internet. And what I see here is tremendous value in the sense that we have all these poor nations out there that don't have all these fancy tool sets that we have, that we bring to the fight, we just take for granted. But using an approach like this, we can make them that much better.
I was very impressed with the quality of the African forces. I mean, the actual individuals, very well trained. And all of us under my command there for this exercise had been in Iraq and Afghanistan and had experience also training Iraqis and Afghanis. And we were just amazed at the motivation and the quality of these individuals. Give them a little bit of help on the tools, they can do great things. Again, this isn't all about Haiti, but Haiti does represent a great platform, if you will, to kind of all these issues actually occurred with Haiti. Other things, for instance, that during the initial response, I had aircraft ready to do airdrops within 24 hours. The problem was we didn't have good data from the ground to give us the confidence secure. We weren't going to hurt anybody on the ground and cause more problems. what you're going to see in some of these demos will help us address that. So it actually took us 10 days before we actually did the air drones. So we could have our own special forces out there saying the drop zone is secure. Other things is that there is this thing called the Denton Amendment, which allows the U.S. military to move humanitarian goods, private goods. Well, in Haiti, I can tell you that that did not work at all. And I can assure you that there were, after the first 7 days, there were things being flown on military aircraft that probably weren't as great a priority as some of the things that were being offered by the private community. For instance, I had a physician call me who had been a doctor in Haiti, and the clinic that he was at was damaged, and they lost ICU ventilators and anesthesia workstations, and they needed those, and he had them. He bought them. And he calls me up and says, can I get these down there using the Denton Amendment? Well, we didn't really have a good system to prioritize those things that were being donated that wanted military airlift, and so at the end of the day, we did not move that equipment. He had to end up shipping it and taking it through the Dominican Republic. We lost a lot of goodwill. So I see what you're about to see here in these models is a way to help us engage the international community faster and actually do things. Because we got things there, but then the hubs got clogged up. And then what is the first thing to move out from the airfield or from the seaport? We didn't have a good handle on that either because we weren't getting it, unless it came from a military source, we really didn't respond to it. We need to be able to respond to what the international community is telling us. We need to respond to what the local people have to say and their insights about how to get things done. So we had this cloud created. We established a way to allow people to be plugged in very quickly. So now let's take us through some scenarios. We're going to go through 4 scenarios with companies that kind of give us the ability to affect that coordination, to streamline gathering of all this enormous amount of geospatial data, and how to tag it, how to bring small devices to the table and plug in. Like I said, how to leverage maybe those coordinations, knowledge. So we'll have 4 companies. I promise it's going to be fast. We ran through this twice yesterday. Everybody kept to their time. Here, I think you'll find a great relevance from an operational perspective. That issue of a lot of data and how to prioritize it. It's not enough to just bring good new technology to the table, but how can we manage that data, create effective dashboards?